Hi, my name is Lisa Curcio, and you're here with me at Lisa's Stamp Studio. I'm so glad that you've joined me. This is a YouTube live event, which means anything goes. If you were here with me last week, you know that we had some fun. I'd like to welcome you if this is your first time or you are returning. So glad that you're here. And obviously, I'm going to have trouble talking tonight. Welcome, everyone. Today is Monday, June 1st, and the year is 2020. And if you are here for the replay, if you log into your YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the live chat so that you can read what was going on before you joined us, as well as tonight's live. For those of you with me live, I would love to have you chat and interact with one another, as well as myself. I do come back and read every single comment. You'll need to log into your YouTube channel in order to chat. That's really, really important. Now, tonight's card, well, I'm just going to tell you what, it's a real standout project. And I mean that in a literal sense. Wait till you see this fun fold card. I'm not sure you may have ever seen it before. In fact, we're using all brand new catalog products that are coming out on Wednesday, just 2 days from now. I thought this was a great time to introduce some new things to you. In addition to tonight's demonstration, I have two other samples to share with you using completely different products to give you lots of ideas. Now, I want to give you a tip about tonight when we're all done. You'll need to give me a few minutes so I can come back here, and I'm going to put a link down below this video that's going to lead you over to the pictures, cutting dimensions, and the supplies for tonight's card. You'll be able to find all the cards there, not just the one I demonstrate, but the other two I share with you as well. And the details there for shopping are there too. Okay, a couple of things. I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. It's an exciting time because that new catalog is coming out. There's some great promotions starting on Wednesday as well. Two housekeeping items before we get started. The first is I want to introduce you to Megan. Megan's name is in blue. She is my assistant. I get asked this all the time. Is Megan virtual and not real? And I'm here to tell you, Megan is absolutely real. We are not in the same house. We are even not in the same state, but she is absolutely a real person. Her job is to help interact with you and answer your questions because, quite frankly, when I'm stamping and my head's down at the table, it is near impossible to keep up with the comments. And I want to make sure as many of your questions get answered as we can do that for you. Okay, the other housekeeping item is if you're looking for a catalog, I happen to know someone who can hook you up, and that would be me. Head over to lisastampstudio.com and click on catalogs, and you can request your brand new catalog that debuts on Wednesday. I think we're ready. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn the camera down, and I'll get you all zoomed in. Okay, just give me 1 second to make sure I got you all zoomed in so we got a good view there. I think that's pretty good. I want to make sure I've got my little light on so you've got the best lighting possible. I am going to give you as many verbal instructions on this card as possible because I get a lot of comments about that. A lot of people are not necessarily computer savvy, and I'm very sympathetic to that because I'm one of them. This is why I have Bob the Builder, my husband. So I'm going to give you as much as I can. Keep in mind I'm stamping and talking at the same time, which is always dangerous. But please remember, you can find everything down the video link below. This is the card base. It is Whisper White cardstock. It measures 3 3/4 of an inch by 11, so it's narrower than what you're used to. I did score it in half right before you joined me. I'm grabbing my bone folder for that nice crisp edge. And we are going to be using some brand new products tonight. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you one of them. Isn't this paper stunning? This is called Forever Greenery, and it's part of a beautiful package of designer series papers. Like almost all the Stampin' Up! Papers, they are double-sided. Now I'm going to take a little time out because you have got to see the other papers in this suite. So let me just move those off to the side. I pulled them out for you because I figured you'd want to see them. I don't know about you, but when you can see them up close, they always look different than when they do in a publication or online. So there's this one. And then here is another. Look at these. Aren't these gorgeous? They look almost photographic, don't they? And here's some ferns. There's a whole suite of products that this goes with. And guess what? We are using it all tonight, the entire suite. Okay, and here's the one I just shared with you that's similar, a little different color pattern. But let me show you this side. And this is what I love because there are other patterns here that you can use all year round. Look at this. This would be great even for a birthday card. When is a stripe not in style, right? And then I love this one as well. And of course, you can go in any direction. The name of this designer series paper, again, is called Forever Greenery. I'm still learning the names of everything. So I cut myself a piece of designer series paper that is equal in size to the cardstock base. So 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. Remember, I folded in half. I'm going to cover the entire thing. So I'm going to flip this over to what's going to be my wrong side tonight. And I'm going to add adhesive generously around the outside perimeter of this because I'm going to cover up that whole thing and I don't want it to lift. My silicone craft sheet is this product that's underneath me, and it's my favorite tool in my studio because adhesive liquid glue and hot glue will not stick to it. It's going to rub right off, which means this is going to stay sticky free. Love that. Now, I don't do too many things straight, so you're going to see me turn it horizontally, which is what I like to do. And I'm going to do my very best not to get my head in your camera view. And I'm lining this up to try to make it as even to the card base as possible. And there we go. And I'm just going to press that in place. Okay, so now that's done. Super easy so far, right? Okay, it doesn't get any harder, I promise you. Let me put this off to the side for just a moment. The next thing I have here, look at that, brand new in color. This is called Just Jade. And the one thing I love about the Stampin' Up! Products is the color coordination. So the cardstock matches the designer paper and all of the accessories and the ink pads. You got to love that. Makes coordinating super, super easy. You don't have to worry about things mismatching. So this new in color Just Jade will be debuting with all these products I'm going to show you tonight on Wednesday, which is June 3rd. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a notch in this so that I can attach this to that card base we just made. And I'm using one of my favorite die sets. I love layering die sets because you get a ton of bang for your buck. These circles have graduated sizes, and on the other side, you're going to see I have scallops as well. This is all included in one package. I pulled out the smallest circle from that die set. Now, I didn't bring my die cutting machine in because literally there is so much product around here. There would be just a lot of cumbersome noise for you. But I want to show you what I did. We're just going to imagine this is my cutting platform on my die cutting machine. I situated, just a little less than half on here. And if you're anything like me, you find that this slips a lot as you put your other clear mat over the top to die cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to anchor this down. And I love to do that because there's nothing worse than when you got it all ready to go and then everything shifts. This is nothing fancy. It's a regular Post-it note flag. Believe it or not, I get asked if I sell these in my online store. I don't. This is just a Post-it note product. You can use washi tape. You can use painter's tape, low-tack tape. I find this to be the most cardstock friendly. It means it doesn't rip my paper when it goes through the die cutting machine. When I've tacked that in place and I run it through the die cutting machine, I end up with this. Do you see how it's got a little notch here? Well, we're going to need that for our card. So let me pull these other pieces off to the side. I thought it was a little bit plain. And like I said to you, I wanted to use the entire suite of products that goes with this greenery suite because it is stunning. So let me show you what I did next. There are two brand new embossing folders that are coming your way on Wednesday, and that is June 3rd already. You get both of them. This one has the leaves and this one has like a vine pattern. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I'm going to try to hold it down here so you get a better look at it. But what I did is even though that this folder is smaller than what you're used to, it is perfect for borders and these smaller layers. So what I did is I lined it up inside of here, just where I wanted it, nothing fancy, and I ran it through my embossing machine. And that left me with this. Now, I hope you're going to be able to see this. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? I love it because it doesn't have to cover the whole thing. You're going to notice here too on this one that I originally showed you that there's an area here in the center that doesn't have embossing. So you can obviously put greetings here too. So that was one of the things that I did as far as adding a little extra texture here. What we're going to do now is we are going to add some ribbon to this. Now, I do recommend this is your next step. If you're going to remicate this card, did I say remicate? That is not a word. If you're going to make this card, I don't know where I'm thinking tonight. I'm so excited about the new product, I guess. So you're going to replicate. That's what I'm trying to say, replicate. All right, this beautiful ribbon, I wish you could feel it. It's very, very soft. It is double-sided, which makes it really pliable and easy to use. Again, part of this suite. But I want to show you the other ribbon that comes in that same suite. So you're going to get both of these ribbons on a spool as a combination. And this is like a gold thread. I haven't even opened it yet. I haven't even had a chance. I haven't had my hands on everything yet, but I've been stamping an awful lot for you, and I have so much to share in the coming weeks. So both of these come together. I'm going to set that aside. You definitely want to do this step next because you're going to notice that this piece, remember I told you, it's 4 inches. It's going to be longer than what you need. So I'm going to turn this over and I want to make sure that this is going to be nice and straight in the back, and that looks like it is. And then I'm going to tie a knot on this side. Don't get fancy. You know, I always say if you don't like bows, don't bother with them. I'm just going to do my very best to get that straight. A lot of that's going to be hidden when I'm finished. And let me just make a slip knot here. And you're going to notice, you see how that's kind of flopping? I have a great card hack for you that I think you're going to love. All right, so I'm going to use my fingers and try to make that as tight as possible. And then we'll turn that. Like I said, this ribbon is so soft and you can work with it really, really easily. I'm going to give this a little bit of a haircut. I'm going to cut it longer than I think I'm going to need. It is a weave type of ribbon, and I do find that if you manhandle it a lot, it does fray. So keep that in mind. If you're not completely finished with your project before you put your ribbon on, cut it longer and then you can give it a final trim. I think that helps a lot. All right, that looks good. Next step is very, very important. This is going to go on the card front. Now, where you decide to put this is entirely up to you. But I have measured this out so it fits perfectly in a medium envelope. You do not have to worry about this not fitting. But an important tip you need to know is once you decide the placement, you're going to need to just kind of tap it, make sure it's even, and then you're going to flip it over. Boy, did I learn this the hard way the first time I made mine. Take yourself a pencil, and I want you to make a pencil line right along the cardstock here. The reason is you are going to lay adhesive within this perimeter. You don't want it outside of this area because obviously it's going to protrude past the card, and that's going to be a sticky mess. Now, whenever I have layers like this, especially that are embossed, I prefer to use a stronger adhesive. I am going to be using Terran tape, and it works just like it sounds. So knowing I'm going to stay inside that pencil marker, and it's probably really hard for you to see, let me go ahead and lay this down. So you're just going to place it near the edge. I'm going to put my fingernail here and I'm going to tear. And then I'm going to turn this and do the exact same thing on this side. I never go all the way to the edge because I can't lay anything straight, honestly. And if I go too far, then the adhesive's all stuck out on the other side. I also want to let you know as a reminder that I have all kinds of exclusive ordering rewards and very generous ones over at lisastampstudio.com. So make sure you click on the rewards tab when you head over to my online website. And there we go. We've got our last one there. Very important too about this tape. You need to burnish it down inside the paper because this is double-sided. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove this paper backing to reveal the other sticky side. And I love to do that with my Take Your Pick tool. This is dual-ended, so we've got a nice putty tip here to pick up those small little pieces or sequence. And then this is an interchangeable tip. And this one is the paper piercing tool attachment. And because I keep my fingernails really, really short because they're always psychedelic from all the inking that I do, I'm going to use this tool to help me lift off that paper backing. This just makes it faster and easier. And I have arthritis in my hands really, really bad down in my joints. I think some of you may already know that. So this also makes it a lot easier for my hands for those of you that suffer with the same thing. Again, keep in mind, we put that adhesive right here. So I'm just going to kind of mimic where I had it originally, looking to line up the right side the best that I can. And then we're going to tack that down in place. You don't want to rub so hard that you deboss what you've already embossed. So I like to flip it over and just rub gently from the back. This is a very, very strong adhesive, so I don't have to worry about that coming apart. So, okay, next thing is the fun part. Let's go ahead and decorate this. Now I'm going to push this off to the side because I want to show you a fun technique as well as the beautiful stamps that coordinate with this suite of products. The stamp set is called Forever Fern, and here it is. Isn't this pretty? This is what we call a distinctive image stamp. That is a patent name that Stampin' Up! Uses. They look more like photographs than they do stamped images. Love the greetings that are included, so you've got lots and lots of options here. I don't know about you, but one of the cards that I struggle with quite often are more masculine cards, and I think this works great for everyone. The other thing I love about this, you can mix and match this to your floral stamp sets, your butterflies, and you are set. All right, so let me show you what I did. I pulled out one of those images from the stamp set here, and I'm going to be using several ink colors. My first one is Pear Pizzazz, and I chose these colors because they are reminiscent of the same colors inside the designer series paper. So I'm going to ink this up and then I'm going to stamp that here. Now, there are dies for all of these. You are going to love that, but let me just show you. Oh, is that not pretty? It looks real, doesn't it? Okay, let me take this off camera and clean that and put that off to the side. I'm going to grab the other image. Now I'm switching colors, and here's a quick technique I want to teach you. I'm going to use two colors. I've got garden green, so that's my first one. I'm going to open that up and get that ready. And I have Pretty Peacock. Again, these colors are in the designer series paper. That's how I chose them. Color coordination makes your life super duper duper easy. All right, this is called the rock and roll technique. And if you're already a paper crafter, chances are you've heard and seen this time and time again. But I'm going to give you some tips that I've learned. When an image is smaller and narrower like this, you have to make sure you rock and roll carefully. Otherwise, you're going to get the whole center filled. Ask me how I know. All right, so let's start with the garden green and we're going to ink it up. Always the lightest color first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully rock and roll the outside perimeters of this, and we are going to stamp. Now, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera or not, but there are definitely two different tones here. Do you see how it's darker here and lighter here? So this gives it even more of a realistic impression. I love, love the look. If you are going to make multiples of these, it is so important that you clean your stamp because you're going to transfer all this yuckiness to your pretty light color, and you don't want that. Okay? As long as you clean and you dry your stamp, you are good to go. And mine's right off camera, which is what I've done here. All right, so we've got our two leaves. I'm going to go ahead and close these up because an open ink pad around here is just nothing but a recipe for disaster. And then I'm going to show you the two coordinating dies. So we've got this one for this one, and we've got this one for this one, which means no work. I did use the exact same method that I showed you earlier with the circle. I tacked them both down, so I had one Post-it note flag on either. Make your life simple. When you have separate dies for a multitude of images, stamp them on your paper, leave room apart for them, and then run them through their die cutting machine. One pass, you are done. Let me show you the rest of these dies. It's called Forever Flourishing, and you're going to see there's a gorgeous fern. There's all kinds of details in here. I'm telling you, you're going to have a ball with these. All right, so I've already done that ahead of time because, like I said, I didn't want to drag all that in and out. And let me pull those in. I've got one here. Of course, I dropped it on the floor. There we go. We've got one here. We're going to do some decorating. Remember, I told you I had a bunch of goodies from the suite that we were going to use with it. So let me pull that out. These are the gold hoop embellishments. You're probably thinking, you're going to put a hoop on your card? Yes, because I want you to see how thin this is. Do you see it? It is not going to add extra postage to your card, but I know you're going to ask about mailing, so let's talk about that. I always put a piece of cardboard or an extra piece of cardstock over the front of my cards when I mail them to protect my embellishments. That wouldn't mean anything other than hoops. That would include sequins, buttons, pearls, rhinestones, anything. I just do that because I know my cards are going to go through a postage machine at the post office, and I want to make sure that they stay in place. So that's just a great tip for you. Now, there's a lot of ways you can adhere these. If you've got other images holding this in place, you can certainly place your dimensionals strategically, but I'm going to tell you what I learned about this card. Because these images, especially this one, which I'm going to put on the left, is rather shallow, I was worried that it wouldn't hold my ring in place very, very well, or my hoop. So I'm going to tell you what I did. I took multi-purpose liquid glue. This stuff is super duper strong. Okay, so you need tiny, tiny drops. So all I did was I held it in my hand and I did a couple little drops. You do not have to go crazy with this. I am not going to use it during the live only because of drying time and nobody wants to watch glue dry, right? So I'm going to cheat just for the sake of tonight's live and I'm going to use glue dots, but I want you to mimic that idea with a liquid glue. The great thing is if you do this first, you could do your stamping and let that just sit for a few minutes and it'll be done and dry. So we're improvising. So we've got glue dots. Now you're going to see these are way bigger than what we need. So one more time, we're going to improvise. So I've got those here. Do you see how those glue dots are sticking out? So I'm going to take these, I'm going to wrap these to the back side. This is not my preferred way of adhering this hoop, just so that you're aware of that. We're just doing that to save time. I am also going to caution you that when you use the liquid glue, you don't want to get it on the front of the gold hoop. This glue, like I said, is very, very strong. It can leave just a little bit of a white mark from the glue when it dries. So just take your time. You need very little. It's super strong. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to kind of strategically place these so those glue dots won't show. And I'm going to attach that here to my card. All right, so far so good. I told you it was very, very shallow. Let's go ahead and let's add our leaves. I've got those here. Let me put those on my silicone craft sheet. I keep dropping them on the floor. But I got one more thing from this suite of products that I cannot wait to share with you. Will you look at these gorgeous Forever Gold Specialty Designer Series paper? These are laser cut gold pieces, but you know what? If this is pretty, wait till you see the rest of them. I took the liberty of just popping some of these out for you. Let me just move this aside. Okay, so you've got all kinds of fun embellishments, but look at, you have wreaths. Oh, I'm telling you, my heart is just soaring at this. Love it because they are great for masculine cards. They are great for feminine cards. Look at this. You've got place you can add cardstock to the center for greetings. Isn't this great? But look, who said it couldn't get better? Look at these. These are layers for your card bases. And I know you've got some glare from the studio lights, and I apologize. Lots of patterns here. The great thing is, I believe there's 3 sheets of each of these in the package. But check this out. They're white on this side, which means you can sponge these, you can spritz these, you can ink them, you can change them to be whatever you want. So you want to talk about a great value for your money. Boy, I'll tell you what, I am having a ball with these. So once again, this is all part of that same suite of products. Let's go ahead and decorate now the front of this card. Now, because I said this was very, very narrow, I decided to start with this piece first. Let me use my take your pick tool. Those short fingernails are giving me a hard time. So I'm going to place this one down here. I knew that this was going to show from the bottom. So let me just zoom you in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. I did choose to cut this off. All right, that was just a Lisa thing. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And I know that this is probably going to fall right about here. So I can see where it's sagging. So I'm going to take one of my dimensionals and I'm going to add that here near the top. When you're working around a 3D embellishment, don't be afraid to place your pieces first to get an idea of where they need to go. You see right down here, this is going to be a glue dot. So I'm going to take one of those right on my cardstock. There we go. That's going to stick right to my little hoop. All right. I'm going to peel off that paper backing so I can get all my placement right where I want it. Here comes this piece. But I am going to go ahead and add my gold laser cut piece next. Oh, I'm telling you, this is just so pretty. Same thing. I'm going to chop off that bottom because I want to make sure it doesn't stick. I'm going to use a glue dot for this. And you're probably thinking, ew, really? Yeah, it's going to be fine because it's at the bottom. And I'm going to kind of layer this. Which way do I want to go? Let's go this way. I think it'll show a little bit better. Now let's talk about this one. Same thing. I'm chopping off the bottom because I don't want it to stick out. And remember, we're going to trim this. I am going to kind of maneuver this where I want it. Isn't this beautiful? I just love it. So where are dimensionals going to go? Every card is going to be different. No 2 cards are the same. The one I created before you joined me today, the positioning is a little bit different. So maybe a dimensional is going to fit and maybe it's not. But I can tell you right now, a glue dot will fit perfectly down here. I can tell by feeling it. So I've got one here. And then I'm going to give you a card making hack that you're going to love. And then look, this falls right on the hoop. Does this area fall into dimensional? Probably a little bit right there. But do I want to risk the elevation difference? Let me show you. I don't. So I am going to strategically place a glue dot there. Let me show you what I'm going to do. Peel back one glue dot on the roll. Take your paper piercing tool attachment, ball this up. It doesn't even matter if you use your fingers, okay? And then what I'm doing is what I call card surgery. And I'm going to stick this right on top of here, and then I'm going to pull. So that glue dot now is right behind here, all well hidden, but great because my card is all attached. Of course, it needs a greeting. I didn't dare at my age attempt to even do that while you were watching me. This is just Whisper White cardstock, the same as the base. I did use the pretty peacock ink. That greeting is part of the stamp set. This is going to hide the yucky part. But remember, we talked about an elevation difference. Do you see it here? So we're going to compensate for that. We're going to put a glue dot on this end. And then over here, I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to put a dimensional on this end. And I'm going to take off that paper backing. Love that. And now we are going to hide all those raw ends and put our greeting right down here. And I'll just make that as even as I possibly can. Last thing, we're going to go ahead and trim this. Now, don't go away. I've got two other samples for you you are going to love, and they are not anything like this one. So you're going to want to take a look at those. Remember, I made that shorter so that this was nice and finished when it's done. I'm going to tuck that to the back side. But there you go. Isn't this a neat card? So fun, so different, and super duper duper easy. So the same fold, I created several other samples for you. Let me push this one off to the side. Let me pull these other ones out of my envelope. This one uses the stamp set called To a Wild Rose. It is currently in the catalog. You are able to get it. It is no longer sold as a bundle because it was carried over from last year, but you can get the dies as well as the stamps separately. So To a Wild Rose, and these are the Wild Rose dies. Look at that designer paper. You're probably thinking, where is that? Well, not yet, but on Wednesday, you'll find this in my online store. This is called In Good Taste. And if you think this is pretty, wait until you see the rest. There were so many rustic wood textured backgrounds, including this brick painted faux plaster type looks. You're going to fall in love with that. Isn't that color palette really, really pretty? This is Mango Melody. And then I added a little border here. This is from the Ornate Borders dies. And then it's just some really pretty gold embellishments. You see how I doubled up that ribbon for some visual interest? I stamped the background on this one. I did not emboss it because my flower was very, very large. I didn't want to take away from that. So entirely two different samples. And here's the last one. Here is one for the guys. This is going to be Bob the Builder's Father's Day card. There you go. This is from the stamp set called Geared Up Garage. It also has dies that go with it that are called garage gears. I did use a different embossing folder. Can you take a look at that? That's brand new coming your way too. It's called Tasteful Textile. It's a 3D embossing folder, and I colored it with the Stampin' Blends. Use those Stitched So Sweetly dies, which I love because you get lots of shapes and lots of sizes, so they're great for all different types of cards. Now, I want to give you a quick look at the cover of this brand new catalog that is debuting on June 3rd, which is Wednesday. Now, let me flip the camera around. I'm going to share some details with you on how you can get your copy. I cannot even see your comments. I'm hoping to catch some of them here. And of course, I'm going to read them when we're all done tonight. But I hope you like these. Isn't this fun fold really, really different? And you may be thinking, wow, that's really different. It is. But you know what's fun about it? It's easy to create. And you can create any type of card that you want. Now, you can get a copy of the new catalog over at lisastampstudio.com. Click on catalogs and you can request it there. While you're there, check out my generous and exclusive ordering rewards. A simple $25 in product is going to get your private invitation to my Live with Lisa event where I do product prize giveaways. You get a huge bundle of product tutorials, project tutorials. Oh, I told you I couldn't talk tonight. In addition to that, you are also going to receive several live demonstrations in a private event that I hold right here on YouTube. It's a private link. With a $50 order, you get all of that, plus you get your choice of a product gift from a gift list I sent out on the 25th of every single month. I see some names here. A lot of you are already my customers, so you know about my rewards program. And everybody, regardless of the amount that you spend, receives a handmade greeting card from me that you can reuse. I leave it nice and blank so that you can reuse it yourself when it comes in the mail. Now, before we go, if you head over to my website, you can also sign up for my free weekly e-newsletter. Just scroll down and sign up. It is a no-frills thing, but I share a tutorial there that I do not share on any of my other platforms, and I sure would love to include you. Couple things too about June 3rd. We've got some new promotions coming up. If you have an enormous wish list, there's two things you need to know about. Number one, if your product list is $250 or more before shipping and tax, you're going to receive an extra $25 and free product directly from Stampin' Up. And of course, you're going to receive all my rewards as well. So that's part of this brand new kickoff for this new catalog. And if your wish list is also that big, you may want to consider the starter kit promotion. We'd love to have you jump on the demonstrator bandwagon where you can receive at least 20% discount on your future orders for a limited time. That information is over on my website as well. Please do me a favor. If you've enjoyed tonight's live, give it a thumbs up here on YouTube. It does certainly help. Subscribe while you're down below. Click that little bell, which means you're going to get a reminder when I'm live and when I share a new video, because you're not going to want to miss it. I'm coming back with you live next Wednesday, which is June 10th. And I'm just going to say it's an outstanding fun fold card with more new products for you to see firsthand and up close. So I hope you'll be back with me, and I look forward to seeing you then. Megan, thanks for all your hard work tonight. Bye-bye, everyone.